Hi, welcome to another episode of FaceTime with Lalari, where we talk about everything and nothing. I am Lalari, and today we're just gonna chit chat. Let's see what's going on. As you know from my previous episode, I'm in this very transitional, reflective stage where I am asking myself all these questions about my life, my career, what should I do with my career, and should I choose another path? I've been in this career in sales for about 10 years on and off. In the middle there, I took a break to be a photographer. In the end, I didn't do it. It failed. The little business failed. And that got me thinking, it's being a creative and being in the creative field is so hard. And it's so true what they say, majority won't make it. I was one of them, trying to be a photographer, and then I failed at it. But it wasn't out of a lack of love for it. I think there was a lot of fear that I was facing. Fear of not being good enough, fear of disappointing people, but I think fear of disappointing myself. Eventually, I pivoted into knitting, so I found a little bit more success in knitting. I had my little doggy sweater shop, and that was amazing. Eventually, it wasn't sustainable, so I had to close shop. But all of this is to say, being in the creative space is so difficult. And one of the things that I really love about today and about the internet is that the internet has really opened up the gates, or really has made it accessible for artists and creatives to put their work out there and find success. Before, when I went to school, the internet was there. I'm not that old, but the internet, the whole social media, Instagram, Facebook, it was just for sharing things with your friends. There was YouTube, and I think there were vloggers out there that were way ahead of the game, and I am jealous. I wish I picked it up, but hey, here we are. We're not gonna get down on ourselves. So anyway, really the barrier of entry was really high to find success in a creative space. For instance, when I was in college, I had my own radio show for the college radio station, and I was a producer. We did our newscasts, our shows. In some instances, I went to South by Southwest to go interview artists, and that was amazing. But in order to find success with that, you had to be picked up by a TV station or a magazine, right, to write for them. And the barrier of entry was really high. Not a lot of competition, a lot of people trying to get into these limited spaces. So I think that the internet has really opened up that gate, that has really lowered the barrier of entry in that way, where anybody with a camera, anybody with a cell phone can have a podcast, can have their radio show, which is the new age radio show. They can have their own show of exploring cafes in the city. So I really love that about the internet today and about the age that we live in, is that creatives can be creative at a very low cost, and really what you need is that wanting to create and wanting to express yourself in one way or another. That is not to say that finding success in social media takes work and there's strategy to it, and I am not an expert, clearly, but there are a lot of experts out there that I could recommend if you guys wanted me to, that talk about the strategy that goes into finding success in social media and finding your audience and finding your community. You can build something really beautiful out in the internet. So I picked up this book recently that one of my creative friends recommended to me. She said that it was about creative processes. But honestly, thinking about it, and I am almost done with it, I think that the book is a lot more than that. I think the book is very spiritual in a way. It talks about how we all have treasures inside that we can find and create them and bring them to life. So it also talks about ideas, how we get ideas and sometimes the ideas escape us. And it happens all the time, right? We get an idea and then the idea leaves if we don't grab it and how that idea might go visit another person. And if that person doesn't pay attention to it, the idea goes to another person. So that's why we see sometimes we have an idea and we lose it, and then we see it later on executed by somebody else, and we're like, oh, dang, that was my idea. I thought about this before. And I really love that concept. I think it's really cute. And I think that it's important that we pay attention to those ideas as creatives, because sometimes when inspiration strikes, you just have to do it. And then I don't know if this has ever happened to anyone, but you get an inspiration to, I don't know, write something, to create something, to record a video, and you think about it, you write it down, but then when it comes down to creating it, it's gone. The inspiration is not there anymore, so you can't really execute it on it. I feel like that has happened to me when I got into, there was a time when I got into songwriting, and these lyrics would come to mind with this melody, and if I didn't start writing it, then sometimes I would lose it. And then sometimes I would write it down and try. I don't write music, so there's no way for me to write the melody, but if I didn't record the melody right away, it would go away. Or maybe I would write down, oh, it goes like this, la 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 la. No, just kidding. It goes like, oh, maybe it's an A chord or whatever, and then it would go away. So I don't know if this has ever happened to anyone, but that really resonated with me with that book. The book is called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and I really recommend it if you're a creative, if you feel fear. She talks about fear too, how fear is always present when we're going to create, but we should leave it, let it be, and try to create anyway. I don't know. I'm butchering it. She explains it better. And she prompts a question about when was the last time that you felt really creative, where you felt really inspired. And I remember, I can think of my college days. I feel like I was really inspired and really wanting to create these documentaries, interview artists, and I had all these ideas of shots in my head, and that was amazing. Eventually, life happened, and then I didn't create anything. I think that it's really important that if you have that tendency of being a creator, that you do create something, that you have an outlet, because how Elizabeth Gilbert puts it, it's like having a border collie and not giving it a job. If you don't give that dog a job, that dog is going to find a job himself. He's going to chew through your couch or dig a hole through your wall. So it's the same with us. If we don't create, if we don't have that outlet, we're going to be doing the opposite of creating. We're going to be destroying something, whether it is damaging our relationships, damaging ourselves. So I think that can be very true, especially being a creator in the corporate space and not giving yourself the outlet to create can be very exhausting. Sometimes I would feel so, I remember feeling when I wasn't doing anything creative for myself, not even nails or, oh, don't look at my nails. Not even nails or photography or drawing. I got into drawing on the iPad for a while there. Anything. I would feel very exhausted, very drained with everyday life, and that's not healthy. I think there always should be, I learned that I always should have an outlet to create, to feel that inspiration flow through my veins and then come out into the world. So anyway, if you are a creative and is afraid of bringing your work out there, 1, finished is better than perfect, and 2, nobody cares. And maybe that's also, it hurts. I'm also afraid of that, right? It's a good and a bad thing, because it's good that nobody cares, because everybody's just paying attention to themselves. And if you mess up, it's fine. You mess up. It doesn't matter. But then at the same time, you're expressing yourself, right? If you're creating something, you want people to look at it sometimes, and you want to find your community. And if nobody cares, then sometimes it does feel like you're just creating for nothing, but you're not. You're not creating for nothing. You're creating for yourself. And that is another thing. I am a firm believer that there are enough people out there that will resonate with what you're saying, will resonate with your art, and that will love what you're doing. And that will ultimately be, you can build a community from there. I firmly believe that there are too many of us here for us not to appeal to anyone. Another thing that I believe in is that there are original ideas, but they're very far in between, right? They're very few. A lot of it has been done. However, it's about how you execute that idea. There's only one of you. What's unique about all of this is that we are unique. We're the ones talking about it. Somebody else has said this before, but nobody else has said it the way that I am saying it, or has said it from my perspective. Do you see what I mean? So it's the same thing with other ideas about, I don't know, stories that you want to tell or things that you want to create. Anyway, all of this is to say that it's not so much about the idea that you're trying to execute. It's about the idea being executed by you, and you are unique, and you're going to execute it with your unique perspective. And I think that there is a market for it out there. I think there's always people that are going to resonate with your art. So at least that's what I'm telling myself. Anyway, I think that we don't always have to monetize our art, but I do think that if it happens, that's amazing. If it doesn't, then you have your day job to fund that art and to fund that creative. We just have to be dedicated enough to ourselves to dedicate time to be creative. Otherwise, life just becomes very dull. I think that was happening to me when I first came into the workforce, and I was working corporate for the first time, and I didn't have any outlets. I was just working all the time, and my outlet was drinking. I was drinking a lot, and I don't know if this has ever happened to anybody else, but I was drinking a lot. I was in my early 20s, and that was my outlet. And eventually, I quit my job to be a photographer, which was super drastic. I would never do that in my 30s, but you know what? That's what your 20s are for. And it was great building my own schedule, and I would go hit up flower shops and dress shops to go offer my services. And eventually I got my first client, and I really got that taste of, oh, this is serious. This is a business. And it was scary because I had nothing. I had no backup, no way to have a contract. And I had a contract that my friend drafted up for me, but he wasn't a lawyer. So having your own business is hard without having those resources to invest in it and do it the right way, or do it safely. So I think that's where your day job comes in as a creator. Anyway, we don't always have to monetize what we do, like our art. If it happens, that's amazing. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. And at least we still have our outlet, and we are not going insane. Anyway, that is it for today. Thank you for being with me in yet another episode about FaceTime with Lalari. I hope you liked today's episode, and leave a comment if you made it to now. Anyway, I'll see you next week. Bye.